Hey, how's it going? Welcome back. Might come as a bit of a surprise to most of you, but I'm going to show some records. Got a stack of 7 inches right there. They're just itching to get shown. So, yeah, why waste any more time? Let's do it. I'm going to start out with the newest single from Boss, Cash 'Em In, backed with Red Signal. It's on Static Shock Records. If you're unfamiliar with Boss, it's an international project comprised of Jonah Falco, formerly of Toronto, currently of the UK. You'll know him as the guitar player in Career Suicide. He also drums in Fucked Up. Two of the members of this play in Chubby and the Gang and the Chisel and all those associated bands. And the fourth guy is from France, and he comes courtesy of an Oi band called Condor that people were really jazzed about for a while there. So, right off the hop, there's a pretty solid pedigree here. Now, musically, stylistically, this is really just 70s glam influenced rock and roll. There's a bit of a late 70s UK punk influence here, but it's all but overshadowed by the glam influence. Really well written, super catchy and memorable, great harmonies. There's a piano ripping through there when there needs to be. All the bells and whistles. No complaints about Boss whatsoever, aside from the fact that I slept on the first 7 inch and will probably have to pay more money than I want to get a copy nowadays. But I will get a copy. So, yeah, if that sounds like something you'd be into, Boss is definitely worth your time to track down. So, check it out. Next, you got a band from Detroit on Drunken Sailor Records. It's the Stools, Feelin' Fine. I was familiar with the Stools before I got this. I know I have at least one compilation with them on it. I never dug much deeper than that. And then I saw this and I figured I'd give it a shot. Fundamentally, garage punk. It's pretty raw and noisy, but not to the point of being blown out. Definitely not clean by any stretch, but not blown out. There's two fast songs on here, two mid-tempo songs. The fast ones at times border on hardcore. The guitar has kind of a like an odd bluesy undertone to it that I find interesting. The bass playing is kind of manic. He's always taking it for a walk, or I guess a run, as the case may be. Definitely a lot more raw than I expected. It's good stuff. I'll check out more of their stuff if I see it. So yeah, the Stools. Next, I got a couple releases from an Italian label that I've mentioned here before called Goodbye Boozy. Always releasing great stuff. This first band's from New Orleans. They've kind of taken the vinyl community by storm. At least my corner of the vinyl community. Everybody's losing their shit over this band and buying their records up. I'm talking about Schizos. This is their Fuck Music City 7 inch. This is the first Schizos record that I've got. This is, if I was making mixtapes with any sort of regularity, the first track on this record would be a mixtape staple. It comes careening right out of the gate. It's just fast, super pissed off, simple, flanged out hardcore punk. There's no metal to it. There's no goth or post-punk trappings. It's just unfiltered, raw, pissed off, kick you in the face hardcore punk. Just the way I likes it. So, yeah, now I see the hype. I'll pick up the rest of their records if the others in the VC haven't bought them all out already. But yeah, Schizos. It's good shit. Now, the second of the Goodbye Boozy records I got is a split between two bands from Los Angeles. The first being X-acto, and the second being Paranoise. X-acto, fast, super angry, guttural, hardcore, bordering on grindcore now and again, because there are blast beats here. But what makes them a little bit different is that they've got a keyboard player in there. So there's the bleeps, the bloops, the blops, all that shit. It just kind of mixes it up, makes it kind of interesting. Vocals, super snotty. kind of remind me of Luke from this Toronto band called School Jerks, more recently of FLQ. Um, yeah, it's super snotty vocals, sound like Luke if he happened to record them in an 80s video arcade. It's pretty interesting stuff. Paranoise is the kind of, I guess, the weirder of the two bands. Also synth based. This sounds more along the lines of some of those Northwest Indiana bands that were, popular the last few years. Bands like the Coneheads and Liquids and whatnot. It sounds kind of similar to the Coneheads, a little harder. Vocals sound like they were, recorded from underwater in a goldfish pond. So, yeah, if you're into kind of weird shit, you probably like Paranoise. So yeah, X-acto, Paranoise. Goodbye, Boozy. Next one I've been waiting for. It's the new White Stains, Blood on the Beach 7-inch, released by Neon Taste. This, yeah, I just talked about their LP a couple videos ago. 80s influenced hardcore, a little bit of a rock and roll influence in there. This is great. You can hear everything from Black Flag to Adolescence to Angry Samoans. Sometimes the vocalist reminds me of the guy from Life Sentence, a great old timey Chicago hardcore band. Really, really good stuff. If they stay this consistently good, I will continue to buy their records. So yeah, get that in you. Another band from Pittsburgh, Necro Heads. It's their Mindless 7-inch. It's on Kill Enemy Records. This kind of sounds like a cross between, say Negative Approach and Poison Idea. It's burly, angry, it's kind of bellowed out hardcore. Just walks right up one side of you and down the other. Good shit. Yeah, Necro Heads. Check that shit out. Ain't got much else to say about them. Next, we got a band from Montreal called Faze. Record's called Content or Content. It's on 11 p.m. Records. I saw this band live a few years back. They were pretty good. This kind of reminds me of the Toronto band Shit. A lot of like the 1-2 1-2 1-2 drumming and super echoey vocals that give it kind of a dark, brooding vibe. It's pretty good. I have a feeling they might get lost in the shuffle because there are a million bands, in the last year or three that have been doing this kind of thing. But yeah, they're good enough to hold their own. They're pretty good. Live, they were pretty insane. So yeah, Faze. Now we'll keep her in Canada for this one. To Halifax, Nova Scotia. Fragment. Mind Convulsion. It's on Desolate Records. I've discussed Fragment on here before. I showed their last 7-inch that was on Suicide Records. This continues on with more of the same. Super noisy, super raw hardcore. Bit of a D-beat thing, but moreover, it's just driving raw hardcore. Vocals, a little low in the mix, so it almost creates its own level of noise, if that makes sense. Yeah, super, super good band. I kind of want to say that I did see them live once, but I can't really remember. But yeah, if they come around here again, definitely be checking them out. There's members, everyone associated with this band has been in a million other pretty noteworthy bands from Halifax. You get people from Bougie Boys, Mean Mug, Cutie, etc., etc., etc. So yeah, new Fragment. Check that shit out if you like super raw hardcore. And we got a band from Denmark, one I'd never heard before. I just bought this on a whim. It's a band called Pestagor. Record's called Nurgle's Rot. It's on Satan's Piss Records, which is pretty hilarious. It's kind of it's definitely metallic. There's a punk edge to it. Kind of reminds me if one of the like UK82 bands maybe tried their hand at writing speed metal in a way. It's kind of a good mix of the two. Female vocalist. I'd be interested to see, where they go from here. I'd like to hear more stuff, but I don't know. I don't know if they're still around. Maybe they are. Maybe they aren't. If they are, I'll buy more Pestagor because that's a weird combo of styles that actually works. Now we got to new Iron Lung Records release, a band from Boston, Brain Tourniquet. So they're self-titled. It's got the bastard child of Flea and Mo Howard on the cover. This is textbook power violence, and I'm talking like old school power violence, not the new stuff that's just kind of like a spiced up grindcore. This is like the the tried and true super slow to super fast to super slow to super fast formula, and it works really, really good. Not too far removed from other bands from that area of the last few years, like Scapegoat and whatnot, Mind Eraser, and that. Yeah, this is super brutal. Singer sounds like he's passing a child through any number of orifices. So yeah, Brain Tourniquet. I guess they're playing here next month, and I will be in attendance. We got a grindcore split here between a band from Germany called Sinus and a band from Texas called P.L.F. Pretty Little Flower. Sinus, they fall kind of more on the the hardcore punk end of grindcore. There's definitely like a crusty hardcore vibe going on with it, but they are fast as hell. I've got several other records and several other splits and whatnot, and yeah, everything's pretty consistent with the way this sounds. It's just well produced, insanely fast grindcore with like a crusty hardcore feel to it. P.L.F. is a two-piece. I saw them live once and they were absolutely devastating. Great riffs. The drummer is a fucking machine. This is fast as fuck. And the vocals go from like, venomous and hissed to almost death metal. Super, super good band. I buy everything by them that I see. So, yeah, Sinus, P.L.F. And we got one from, this is from 1997. It's on Nat Records. It's a Japanese band. I'm surprised I've never owned this record over the years because I've seen it a million times. I just never bought it. But, yeah, I finally saw this one for cheap, picked it up. It's a band called DPPS, Urge for Going. This is, it's a more grindcore, hardcore band. This sounds a lot like a rawer, sped up Extreme Noise Terror. You can definitely hear some early Napalm Death in here, but you can definitely hear the Extreme Noise Terror influence. It literally sounds like a swarm of bees with a guy belching in the background, which, I like that shit. So yeah, DPPS, Urge for Going, Nat Records. Now we're staying in Japan. The record on MCR Company. It's SDS, or Sociatic Death Slaughter. It's Never Arise. In Raid, There Is No Life. Good band. I've just always kind of ignored them a bit over the years, more than I probably should have. This is like a cross between Discharge and Amoebics. It's definitely got like a true crust sound to it, but there's also like a D-beat thing going on. Vocals done, like only the Japanese can properly do it. Super bellowed and throaty. Very, very good band. Probably best known from their split with Misery. But yeah, this is just one of those 7 inches that rarely turns up, and I saw it and I got it. So yeah, Sociatic Death Slaughter. And lastly, we got Discharge, Propaganda Feeds on HG Fact. This is from like 2011. Sorry State turned up some, dead stock copies of it, and I was, lucky enough to pick one up. This, I'd never heard Discharge with Rat on vocals, Rat from the Verukers. And this is actually really good. It's got a more metal production than other Discharge stuff I've heard. I wasn't sure how Rat's vocals would go with Discharge, but he actually sounds like Cal from Discharge, but with maybe like a bit of like Waddy Buchan thrown in there from the Exploited. And yeah, it works. Both these songs are fucking great. I mean, it's no Grave New World, but yeah. Propaganda Feeds, Discharge, HG Fact, which is a fantastic Japanese label. So yeah, get that if you can, but I don't know if Sorry State still has copies or not, but it's worth a shot. So, yeah, that's what I got. There's a stack of 7 inches. I'll see you. Oh, actually, I want to thank everyone for the really kind words in the comments on my last video where I showed the cassettes. Yeah, I'm humbled. You guys are all super, super nice, and I appreciate that. So hopefully I can keep entertaining you with accurate descriptions of bands and records. So, yeah. Anyways, thanks again, guys. See ya.